Welcome to the SDA Housing Podcast, brought to you by NDIS Property Australia. Before starting this episode, we need to provide a general disclaimer. Information contained in this podcast is general in nature only. It does not take into account the objectives, financial situation, or needs of any particular person. You need to consider your financial situation and needs before making any decisions based on the information in this podcast. And you should consider seeking independent and professional advice for your personal circumstances. All right, let's begin.
Hello, everybody. My name is Minh, and I'm your host from NDIS Property Australia. And you listen to the SDA Housing Podcast, the show explains, highlights, guides, and brings awareness about all things SDA in this ever-changing NDIS world. Today, we have a special guest speaker, repeat guest speaker, Katalin from Hand in Hand Support Coordination. Hello, Katalin.
Hello, Minh.
Welcome back again.
Thank you for having me.
I might invite you back because we had a great time, our team, listening to your podcast with Debbie and Kevin from Paramount last time. And I wanted to meet you face-to-face online here and talk about your journey into the NDIS and where you've come from, your background, how did you end up in the NDIS world, and just to say more about your business, Hand in Hand Support Coordination, please.
Thank you very much.
So who, what, where, how, why? Tell me more about you, please.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me for this. I really feel very, very happy that you did this. Okay, so I originally started in business. So a lot of people, I assume, we're not aware that NDIS has got very strong business base on the legislation. So I started out in business. I did my business degree, and then I worked in business for a little while. And I just felt that it was nice, but I never really found my way, the purpose of why I was doing business. So then I went back and I went back to TAFE, and then I had a bit of a soul searching, and I realized that I really want to help people. I want to, better their lives. And I did my individual support and disability support, H and disability support, but one was H and disability support certificate. And I started in aged care. So after working in aged care for a little while, I liked the helping part. I just wasn't really sure about the structure of aged care. And that was the time when NDIS started to become more mainstream. So I started working from aged care in-home into age and disability care in the community. And I really like disability. And I thought, that's something that I'm interested to do. And being the business person I am, I read the legislation and I understood everything around it. And I felt that, I can do this. I felt empowered.
May I ask you, how many years were you in the aged care before you actually landed in the disability world?
I was in aged care for a good year and a half. In aged care time, working in aged care homes, that feels a lot longer. Yeah, but that was a good support network, I suppose, because what I found is that manual handling. So when I went, I didn't know that at the time, but when I went into disability, I noticed that manual handling was a big base of what I started at. And then from manual handling, I went into mental health, and then sort of goes one after another for me. And then for mental health, I felt that I needed to support my participants better. So I finished my behavior support practitioner training, and that opened up another avenue for me, not just for mental health, but intellectual disability and relevant problems in the industry that we are not supporting our participants the best. And then was a general on flow to housing. So that's how we arrived to all three. And then when I ended up in housing and intellectual disability and psychosocial conditions, I still felt that was something else missing. So I went back and did my postgrad in disability studies. And here we are.
A lot of study, hey?
Yes and no. When you look at it, I didn't do it in one chunk, and I sort of learned what I've experienced. So I never felt that I was learning. Well, I was learning new things, but I was experiencing it at the same time. And that was driving my studies. Yeah. And of course, we opened up hand in hand. Actually, we were original co-providers. because that was my history. Yeah. So in 2019, pandemic, we knew that was fine. And then, in the last 3 years now, 4, we only focusing on support coordination. And we understood the importance of having support coordination and co-providers and all other capacity providers separately. So I'm a big believer that support coordination should be a separate service. It is more difficult to run the business this way, but that is the right way to do. So for our participants.
Okay, so support coordination level 1, 2, 3, and then
3.
navigators. What's the whole world of support coordination navigator going to look like in the next few years, please?
We don't know.
What do you think?
We don't know. Nobody came out yet. People are just feeling their way through. I think we're going to be contracting for navigators, or at least going to have some sort of selection criteria, which I highly welcome for navigators. I think support coordination navigation is going to be related but separate functions. Even though as level 3 support coordinators, I think we're doing the navigator job already. Because if you look at and read what the navigator is, it's about connecting our participant with not just NDIs, but other functions as well. So as level 3, for example, when we work with other government organizations such as hospitals or Department of Family Fairness and Housing or OPAs, we're already crossing those boundaries. Maybe we might have another, certification level we will have to pass. I'm not sure. I look forward to understanding it better. Yes.
Are you worried about these changes?
No.
For you, no. What about for the support coordination sector within the NDIS?
I look forward to the change that we're currently going through. So right now, a lot of support coordinators who are currently practicing don't even understand that they will need to be registered by the end of the year. So that's going to be a big learning curve. We have a lot of files coming to us. I'm only limiting it for our catchment area because as much as we want to help everybody, we can't. So we have people saying that, nobody else is taking my file, support coordinators. I'm desperate. I just need to connect with services. So we help those individuals. But we are upfront, and we are not specialists in certain areas that are coming to us. But connecting to service providers and guiding them through it and building the budget, we're comfortable with that. And as soon as they find a specialist in their field, we're more than happy to release the file. Because as I said, we're specialists on disability, intellectual, psychosocial, and housing. So, for example, children, young adults coming to us, and we can do the work, but I want them to have the specialist support coordinators that are not on the field for them. So yeah, we're connecting these people to services. Back to your question, the industry got to learn. Like they got to upskill and they got to know what they said. Yeah, they can't just promise anything and deliver nothing.
But surely with the changes that are going to come eventually, we're going to see attrition, support coordinators being pushed out, believing because they can't upskill properly, that it's too hard for them. We're gonna lose support coordinators, some percentage of them, in the transition to navigators, surely, right? And if that happens, if it does, that means more work on the existing cohort of navigators to handle the bulk of work. It'll be harder, and also participants and their families will lose the support network of support coordinators to help them out with their rogue internet guys. That's hard for everyone, surely.
Well, that's why we opened our new service. It's been, we launched it a good 6 months ago. So I'm all for support coordinators knowing and understanding the role and best supporting our participants. Yeah, that's number one, quality over anything. So for those but running a business and going through the certifications is difficult. Yeah, it's cost involving. Any changes in the legislation, you have to adjust with your policies. Then you have to run it through the whole organization. It is hard, but it's necessary. So we created our support coordination brokerage service. Our single aim, our fee is flat. We are not making more money on you than we have to in order to make it feasible for us. And you enroll with us and you can still support your participants. Now, let me stay clear. I did not do this for the support coordinators. I did it for the participants. Because as much as I would like everybody to be up to a certain standard, they are not. but that doesn't mean that the participant should choose a different provider if they don't want to. Yeah, the choice and control should remain with them. So once they understand the level of knowledge that particular person has, and they want to keep that person, we want to give an avenue for this individual to remain supporting them while upskilling themselves.
Thank you so much for that explanation. So your business is that, how many staff do you have on board in your team at the moment?
I have 3 people that we work with together.
And how many participants can they handle per team member?
The way we work is quite clever, and we cross work. So of course, I'm a level 3 support coordinator, even though I'm across every single file. So, for example, certain tasks are allocated to more junior staff, and then we have a more experienced staff and myself. So it goes like, if you have a referral, the junior staff can do that. More higher level of information goes to the second person, and then I'm the third person. We all across all the phone calls, all the inquiries. We have an environment that no job is too small. Yeah, we have to know, because what is more important for the participant, whatever the participant is asking us to do. So I'm going to make, as a level 3, I'm happy to make a referral easy. I can talk to my friends, no problems. And at the same time, the junior staff going to have maybe conversations with the participant that might not understand certain part. And as long as they know what they're talking about, I'm very happy for them to have that conversation. When it comes to menus, and when it comes to conversation, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and I get it. It's great.
Totally understand. I totally agree with you in every way. In this world of the NDIS, all business owners should be approachable and show empathy to all participants and all clients, because we need to be there for them. That's all. There's no question.
But because it changes, everything is changes so fast. If we're not on ground zero, we don't know what changes. Like, if I don't talk to my participants who are we onboarding, or I don't have that first conversation with them, I don't understand and can engage their needs appropriately. Therefore, they are actually the ones that telling me how to grow my business, how to communicate with my providers of what do I need, what sort of housing they wanting, what is the area they want to live in, what is the type of provider they interested to have. Are we looking more mental health OTs, or are we looking more of home modification OTs? These are the information we need to know. We have all of them, but then I can ping that over to our providers, and they can hire accordingly. So we are driving the market as it was created. We're driving the market after the needs that we're experiencing. So you can't live in a towel of, closing yourself away from everything, because, and we see this on the big providers. Yeah, they lock themselves away in their beautiful ivory towels, and now they're crumbling.
Yes, we see that as well, for sure. Mm-hmm. Speaking of housing, what kind of housing are you seeing your participants' needs to be at the moment?
I see these appointments, and I want them to succeed. I really do. And some of them are better than others, but my people still asking for houses, for homes for themselves. I think it comes back to that Australian dream, isn't it? That you want to have a home and the dog and the car. Doesn't change just because we are on a disability. It's the same thing. You want to have a home and a dog and a car. Yeah.
And your catchment area is what part of Melbourne region?
Oh, yeah. Since we spoke, it's changed a bit, but we still want to... I know. We're going further north, which we are following the Bebo cautious. I'm in Eastern Melbourne, out Eastern Melbourne. So I'm in the Dandenongs. We are looking to open up an office now in Dandenongs as well. So I'm looking Dandenong, all the eastern and southeastern, outer and inner. And then I have a few files now in the northern one, because we know the need in the northern areas. I'm very selective and cautious around that area. But yes, we go where help is really needed, because help is needed. Yeah.
Is Dandenong an area which is well looked after? I mean, providers, participants, housing, is it good, undersupply, need for service and support? What's your opinion of the Dandenong region?
It's very multicultural. So we have a lot of different type of background participants and families and their interests and their needs. I suppose that's what I thrive on. It's very mixed. The housing is sort of, we can find it. We can find anything and everything. So it's good build. I think demand is going to be higher and higher as your projections showing as well. It's still, the land is cheap still compared to other areas of the city. And that's where you can still afford the dog and the house and the car. Yeah. Yeah. Further out, closer to the city, closer to the sea, closer to the bay, it's difficult to find properties, as you know. It's more expensive. So what I do, I also do, you might remember the 25% DSP and the steel component. So because of that's my market, I'm sort of priced out from the good areas of the bay. And that's okay because those investors should get their SDA money. But I can still find the 25%. Yeah. Yeah. It's good. It's good for me.
Kevin said to us in a podcast in the hotspots, member hotspots, he said he wouldn't recommend the investor going past Dandenong to build housing. Do you agree or disagree with that comment?
It's expensive. It's expensive.
Expense aside, what about demand past Dandenong?
I suppose because the demand is low, but then and I'm not giving investment advice here, of my own experience. So because the demand is there and the market and the build isn't, if you have maybe a few and in high quality, I think you'll be okay. But I really don't know the data as much as you do. I only know what I hear on the ground.
No worries. Speaking of data, have you seen the recent data come out on Friday?
No. What was it? Haven't checked it out yet.
It's 1,500 new pipeline SDAs to be built across Australia. A lot. It's a lot. In all the wrong areas too.
Yeah. I have, and for market, right now I have 3 files that I'm finding they're not appropriately funded for SDA. So they have SDA funding, actually 4, as they have SDA funding, but not the right level. So we can't, the purchase power is like 10, 15 grand below what the current market rate is. So they have SDA funding. We just can't house them because they're underfunded. So we're going back to, and these are all new intakes. Yeah. That's what we were talked about last month, didn't we? That it's coming. That's how quickly it comes around. Yeah.
I know. In your world of sport coordination, what are some of the shocking stories you come across in the marketplace about sport coordination? And don't name any names, just examples of where sport coordination didn't work out well for participants for whatever reason. Because there's good and bad and everything. I want to hear what can go wrong in sport coordination here.
So some people might not know that some support coordinators work on certain percentages in order to allocate contracts. Now, this is a big problem because by taking certain percentages from funding that is not yours, I think it's unethical, but more importantly, it hurts our participants.
Wait. Are you talking about kickbacks, commissions, margins of a participant's funding amount?
Yes.
Is that legal? Is that allowed? Is that frowned upon? What's going on here?
The NDIA nor the NDIS had made it illegal yet. So that would be lovely if it was illegal. I really would like that to happen because our participants are hurting because of those commissions. Because what happens is that the support coordinators, some people out there, they take those commissions and then they bargain the quality of their participants' life away. So, great example, I met one of these participants. The funding is quite high on those files, and the participant lived in a house or in an area or the setup that was just squalor. The bed and the room was horrible. She has wheelchair. The bathroom was non-wheelchair accessible. They didn't have a hoist to lift her. It was not pretty. we rehomed this participant with the appropriately skilled staff in an appropriate home. And within 6 months, we've seen a 50% drop of her behavior of concern. Now, this individual has schizophrenia, intellectual disability, going through psychosis several times an hour, wheelchair bound, and to have 50% drop of behavior of concern overall, this is an outstanding outcome. And we are within budget. We are within the NDIA appointed both SEAL and SDA funding. So everybody.
When you say incidences of behaviours of concern, explain to our listeners what that means. Give me some examples, please.
So when somebody goes through psychosis, they literally hallucinate, yeah? So this individual's got both auditory and visual hallucinations. We cut that down 50%. This individual can now, with help, can redirect and can find his way, the way around, the surrounding, yeah? That means that this individual used to throw things, used to make a mess, used to knock things over just for attention. This individual doesn't need to do that anymore. The staff is there to look after the need that is there. The behavior support practitioner is there to provide us guidance, what the staff needs to do, and the space, the home that the individual lives in, allocating for the space that this participant needs. Yeah. So we have a breakout room. We have a house that is full wheelchair accessible. We have a bathroom, a bathroom, obviously adjoining to her bedroom. We have a kitchen where we can move the bench for this individual to work on if she chooses to do something. We have everything that she needs. We ended up buying her just recently, because she loves music. This individual loves music. We ended up with state trustees. We bought her an old piano, yeah, and now we're funding music lessons for her, which is what she always wanted. Like it's amazing. So
that's a great story. It's very good. I'll give you a little something story. I was talking to a provider once, and they told me that they needed 2 bedrooms for the participant. And I said, 2 bedrooms for the one participant? Why is that? And they said, split personality, 2 personalities. So each person had their own bedroom.
We can afford
yes, and the NDIA approved it to allow for 2 incomes for the 2 bedrooms because this person had 2 personalities. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the funding that let me rephrase this. A lot of our files are underfunded, but I think we touched base on that last time because the reporting is not appropriately done on those files. Yeah. So the reporting, because we had unskilled support coordination and staff, the files were inappropriately reported on. Therefore, the funding is not there. We have to remember that we're working with a huge administrational body. This is not favoritism here. As long as you know the pattern, as long as you know what that legislation says, you can present your work in light of what your participant needs are. And if it doesn't work, you go for a review. If it doesn't work, you're going to the tribunal. That's how simple this is. And that's exactly what we do. We're not doing anything out of ordinary. We're just doing the work. So back to the funding, we have been well funded for all of our participants for their needs. Now, not every need and not every goal has to be funded by the NDIA. We also have to acknowledge that. Yeah, disability relevant goals have to be, but non-disability, for example, the piano. Yeah, the piano is not a disability relevant goal. The piano was the personal preference of this individual, but because we are living within the budget, well below the budget of the DSP, we were able to save up for that piano and we were able to buy that piano. And now, because her learning of music is disability relevant, we can justify the music therapy. And that's just one out of, many. And what I really love about my work is you don't just helping one person, you actually help a huge group of individuals. Yeah, the family. And the trickle effect of one person helping one person is amazing.
I totally agree. Speaking of helping participants, over the years, how many participants have you and your business have helped and worked with over the years? Is there a rough number?
I don't know. I don't want to sound grandiose. We are a small business, but even I don't know. Maybe we had, I don't know, support coordination, maybe 100 clients, across the times. And then most of them are with us. I'm not saying we have 100 participants. We do not have 100 participants, but we, some of them moving and just coming and going. But the amount of, like for one participant, we generally have 5 to 6 people, maybe 10 in cases, that we support. And I love getting those phone calls to say, oh my God, you changed our lives. I'm like, oh, that's nice. It's so nice. And you don't do anything different. You just know your work. You know your what you need to do day to day. And that's what hurts me, that those support coordinators who are not doing the right thing, that's the hurt that they generate. That's the hurt they create. Like, we just took over a client, and he has a condition that he's going to be wheelchair bound, and unfortunately, due to the nature of the condition, he's just going to deteriorate over a period of time. He hasn't had a review on his file for 3 years. This individual is in the wheelchair and was about to go homeless because the support coordinator didn't know what to do. And they reached out and say, I don't know, you said you're a housing specialist. Can you help us? Yes, we can. He is moving into his house on Thursday. It can be done. But the hurt they cause for our people is just enormous.
Is your work with participants ongoing? Like, once you palm them off to a care provider, are you always involved in the background and
Yes.
after a while?
Always. I have I do level 3. It doesn't matter what your funding is, and I shouldn't be saying this, but that's how reality is. Even most of our files level 2 funded, and I still do level 3 work because it's needed. I don't mind doing.
So you have active participant, active files and non-active files as well?
No, so I have active level 3 files. I have active level 2 files, and I'm across all of them for all of our. But so we it's like a curve, yeah. So when they come on board, you have about 6 weeks that you're extremely involved. You have to put everything in place. You have to calm the nerves. You have to make sure that they're comfortable with everything that's happening around them. Communication that time is number one, and putting everything, all the jigsaw puzzle together. Once the jigsaw puzzle is together and everything fits the way the participant and support network is happy with, that's when the maintenance starts. Yeah. So administration staff, that's when they come in and start to help me with certain tasks, as well as I do monthly care team meetings on every file. And on top of it, they also have the providers, the capacity builders and the core providers and the SEAL providers contacting us and, needing help. But after maybe 3-4 months, the monthly care team meetings start to have a rhythm to them and things just going well. And then we're looking at the next plan period and start to build for the next plan.
Wow, that's a great explaining there. Katalin, where's your business going to go moving forwards for 2025 and beyond? What's the hope and goal and vision here of your business?
I just want to do what we do. I would like to do the navigation. I would like to understand better what the navigation means, and just want to keep going the way we are. I think that's feasible for us. Level 3, like, so as a support coordinators, once you do what you do, that's the job. You need to keep doing it. I would like to be just as active with my providers as I am right now. I have very high requirements for my providers to work with me. We have to share the same values in order to work well with each other. Therefore, I don't work with a lot of people who are not representing those values. Yeah.
We feel the same way. That's why, we've invited you back on our podcast, because we love your energy. We love your passion. We love your ethics and values. We can hear in your voice, and we totally support your business. And we hope that you have a long, successful career ahead in the NDIA sector. And we hope that you listen to all our podcasts in the future, because you're a great fan of our podcast as well.
I am. I'm listening every day, every week.
Sure, you've not listened to all of them. Sure, you're not. Right?
Most of it. I reckon I listened to most of it, and it took me 3 years to call you guys. Yeah.
What do you like and don't like about what we do in a podcast? Please let me answer this.
I like the knowledge and the general know-how that you bring in. It's amazing. I think, and that's why I called you the first time, because I felt that, and I see why you started to reach out to other parts of the NDIS world, then you might not be as, on up to date with as you are with SDA. And I just called to say, hey, this is not quite what's happening for us. And that's maybe just us. But then you called back and said, hey, I think you're right. So here we are. We are talking, which was nice.
How can we improve what we do?
I approve? 100% I approve.
What can we do to improve?
Oh, to improve. Nothing. I think having those conversations is the way of improvement. Yeah. Us talking and me acknowledging that you're great at what you do and you acknowledge that I am quite good at what I do is the improvement itself, and having those conversations. Because you know what you always say, but I love it when you say it. You don't know what you don't know. Yeah, I got that from you. You don't know what you don't know. And that's why I try to, do as much, short courses as well in the NDIA training courses when I feel that I need something, because it's always room for improvement. Yeah, it's always room for improvement when you talk to somebody from a different part of an SDA world. I don't know what the OT's current registration or requirements are for a housing report. What I know is that I have my housing report providers, OT providers that I like because I have great success with them and I have good conversations with them. Or, certain things from the BSP point of view that are changing, especially depending on the state. In Victoria, we have different regulations than other states. And when I work with an BSP provider, that might be the preference of the participant, but out of state, I can have that meaningful conversation with them of, hey, are you aware of this and that? And sometimes they tell me new things. Like I just lost one of my favorite behavior support practitioner because she is a registered psychologist now. And I learned heaps from her. Heaps. And it was great.
Yes, there are so many wonderful, colourful people who come into our world of the NDIS overall, the ecosystem. And we're always very, and I'm sure you agree, we can only be so fortunate and appreciative of all the people who bring knowledge and experience to share and collaborate with. Because when Debbie and I began this world of NDIS or SDA 4 years ago, we knew nothing, absolutely nothing. No one taught us anything. No one showed. It was all a closed book, and it was very hard to get any information about anything at all. There was no course. There was no books to read. There was nothing. And we had to do it the hard way, which is ring around, meet people for 4 years. And that is, unfortunately, to all you sport coordinators out there who are listening, or any care provider out there, you just got to hustle, grind it out, and show your hard work and ethics and values. Because by doing that, you will attract the right people to surround yourself with, who are aligned in your values to help you, support you along the way. And that also applies to your business service delivery to your participants as well as your business colleagues in the world of the NDIS. And that's just be nice, be ethical, be honest, and don't do anything that could be considered as a conflict of interest, as we see and hear so many stories in the newspapers, online and newspapers these days, the last few months, of providers being caught out by the task forward and audits and all that kind of stuff, which, we won't mention online now, but you and I both know it's pretty bad out there in news at the moment. Yeah.
It is. I always say, if you're ever in doubt, ask yourself, would you do that for yourself? That's how simple this is. Would you, whatever you do that to your staff or your loved one? If the answer is no, don't do it. That's a wrong thing to do. Don't go close to it, because I hope, and we started to see that the ramifications of some of these behaviors going to start to get dire. And I applaud it. I want those people who do the wrong thing to our participants understand that it's a stick as well, not just a carrot. It's time.
I agree. Katalin, thank you so much for your contribution to our podcast. Please feel free to share this episode to your on your website, to your social media, because more people should be aware of what you do and what you represent in the NDIS as sport coordinator, and we'll do our best to also let other people know in our world of what you do as well in the Dandenong region and north.
Okay. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, the years. Thanks, Shane. Thank you.
Bye.
See you. Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please make sure you are subscribed and following us so you can keep in the loop with all of our upcoming episodes. We would really appreciate it if you could leave us a 5-star rating, a written review, and to share this podcast with those that could benefit. Until next time, catch you on the next episode.